guys, and welcome back to Dreaming in Fibre. I'm your host, Sarah from Sarah's Texture Crafts. You can find the show notes today at dreaminginfibre.blogspot.co.uk. Okay, so what have I been up to in the last month? You can probably hear from my voice. I've not been up to a huge amount, and really that's because I've been quite sick. I think I mentioned it on the last podcast that I felt I was coming down with something after Craft for Crafters. Well, I did. And unfortunately it's lasted right up until now, and today's the first day where I actually feel like I can spend an amount of time talking to you. I'm going to... sorry, the rustling is Pat. She's being a bit nosy in my yarn stash. I'm going to sort of say now that this podcast will probably be in several sections, and I'm hoping to break it up in our normal segmenting of the show, purely because I'm not sure how long I will be able to A, talk for, B, not cough for, and C, be able to get through everything in an audible manner. So let's sort of talk about my month in review. So anyway, this cold, I thought it was a virus to start with, but it turns out it's a bit of an allergy reaction. I was really worried that the doctor was going to tell me that this reaction was A, either to patch, or B, to wool. Both would absolutely break my heart, but fortunately, very fortunately, she said that my allergic reaction is probably more than likely to damp. Here in Devon over the winter, because we've not had a hard winter like well, particularly the north of the country, but even sort of midsection and a bit further north of us they've had snow. We've just had wet weather, and for the past few years that wet weather has gone from winter right through to the end of spring. Really, you know, we've only had, you know, maybe a month at the most for summer where things have started to dry out before autumn has kicked in again and we've got damp again. So Devon has really been suffering with damp and flooding and so on, and the build up of that. I live in an older house here in Devon, and I live in an older part of the town as well. So foundations kind of non-existent in parts of the house. So as you can imagine, damp has well, I've been battling with the damp, trying to keep it down. But from what I understand, most people in Devon have been suffering the same. So they've put me on a Ventolin inhaler, and fortunately I've not needed to use that every day, but I am on all of my allergy medication, you know, right up to top notch on all of them. So I'm a little bit concerned because I suffer with my allergies in the spring when bulbs and trees and so on come into bloom, so I'm a little bit concerned about that. And also it means, you know, sort of knock-on effects for how much wool I can process and so on throughout the spring and into the summer as well. So I'll talk about that a little bit more in shop news. Sorry, excuse me. So anyway, the knock-on effect of that has meant that I've not got as much crafting done as I would have liked to have got done, because of course January being as busy as it is, February is normally for me the beginning of my new year, if you like, because I just don't get time to start all of the things that I want to start at the beginning of January. So I tend to save everything up for February and have a bit of a cast on craziness, start all the things, want to craft all the things. And generally February is good fun for that, but of course I've been a bit limited. Having said that, I do have a fair amount to show you later on in projects. So I'm going to leave time and review at that for this week, and we'll go into shop news. Okay, so Colour Club for the shop update. I have sent out the first pack, and I'm about to start dyeing and working on the second pack next week for shipment later that week, I think. Check my diary dates, but I'm sure that's right. So I wanted to show the rest of you the first colour. So you've seen the picture already, and left for me to play with, I have my original sample, which is there. Again, the colours are better in the picture, but this is abalone, and then I've got a bat for me as well. So at some point soon, when I'm feeling up to it, I shall be back on the wheel and spinning, and I'll spin those up and show you how those get on. If I do get pictures on the Ravelry thread from any clubbers, then I'll see if I can insert those into the podcast for future, just so you get an idea of how maybe the yarn knits up and so on, and how different people have taken the fibre in different ways. So that should be quite interesting. Really enjoying that, and I'm very much looking forward to dyeing the next colourway which I've got for you. The actual shop update for this month involves two things primarily. Firstly, I've got a new amount of straight from the farm tops. I'm just going to show you on the tablet what those are. So when you come onto the website, I'm hoping you'll be able to see all of this. If you scroll down on this side, you'll get a column that gives you an indication of different sections of the website and so on. Straight from the farm tops has become a category which has grown for me. And we've got new offerings on there. I've got a lovely Wensleydale Gotland cross. We've got some Romney Marsh on there as well. We've got a lovely Jacob textile cross as well, which is extremely soft, and some Pale Manx Lockton. And I've also got some more Hebridean and some more Svartblaze as well. So those are straight from the farm tops for you. If you're not entirely sure what those are, essentially they're fleeces that I picked up during last year's clip. And they're the very best examples I could find of either a particular breed or a really just great example of a good spinnable fleece. I've sent those to a UK mill where I have had them processed for me, which is why they're only coming onto the website now, because I've not long had them back. Sorry. And so they've gone onto the website, and I've obviously got an amount of those therein. They have been processed into top form, but they're actually a slightly more of a roving style. So not everything is perfectly aligned, but they are particularly easy to spin. They also still have a very slight touch of lanolin left in them, because they are prepped for the next stage to go forward to yarn spinning. In a mill traditionally, in the way that that particular mill works, is that they leave a very slight amount of lanolin left in. It's not enough for you to sort of feel like you need to wash your hands constantly while you're spinning it. But obviously if you're felting, then you know, you may either wish to avoid these or wash them a stage further before you use them for felt making. So in spinning, they should give you some really nice yarn. You can either leave it with textural applications, or you can spin a nice smooth and consistent yarn and should be able to get a lace from any one of these fibre combinations. So those are on there for you. The other thing that I've also updated, which you will have seen in the picture, is some new yarn colourways. So if I take a look on here, I've started to overwash yarns as well. So overwashing as a dye technique is a build-up of colour over several stages during the dye process. So for example, my variegated yarns, all of the dyes are added all at once, and the yarn is processed all at that one moment in time. With the overwashing, they go through several stages, and certain dye colours are added in at certain levels during certain stages of the dye process. So they're slightly more complicated, but they are fun to do. So I've got 4 colourways in total there for you. My favourite possibly is the Top Nest colourway. If I can get that picture big enough for you, which is there. So it's some pinks and oranges, overwashed with a grey there, and it's I think going to be really nice to knit up. And also I added some variegated yarn as well. I added 2 colours, and they are Blossom and Anemone, which you can see there. Those are 2 colours I currently do on tops, and I wanted to follow them through onto yarn bases. So that's all for this month's shop update. Of course, don't forget that all of the hand-dyed tops and yarn are pre-order, so you can choose from an inordinate amount of colourways now, but also various bases and weights as well. So I think that's all for the shop update. So let's move into blog news, because I've got a few things that I really love to share with you about the blog. Just before I go into that, I'm going to quickly add this little bit back in. I forgot to mention about fleeces. I've had a couple of people ask me about raw fleeces for this year. To be honest, because of the way I am and the reaction I've been having, I've decided not to get any raw fleece this year to keep on sale. Because I don't want to keep them in a damp property, firstly. Secondly, they have to hang around for a while because I sell them in small amounts, and they tend to go in small amounts rather than whole fleeces. So that's a lot to have around to sort of play up against my allergies. And then finally, I often have to keep them in stock for a while before I can send them off for processing. So I'm going to leave off of that this year. I kind of feel with the damp situation that I would really like to move if I can find the right property. So I think it's best if I keep raw fleece to an absolute minimum. The only things I'm going to have in stock are the stuff that I'm going to actually dye for the website. So there won't be any raw fleece, I'm afraid, this year. So I apologise for that. But you never know, next year I might be in a different position and I might be able to come back or come up with a solution for that. So yeah, let's get on to that blog news. Okay, so over on the blog craftsoftexture.com, I have finally finished my gradient spinning series. And so with that series we've had a couple of projects, the Fisherman's Net Cowl, and then also the Cloisters hat. So you can find both of those patterns on Ravelry and on the website sarastexturecrafts.com, and you can find them during the series over on craftsoftexture.com. I've also put all of that information and more into an ebook, which you can find at sarastexturecrafts.com, over on the blog craftsoftexture.com, and you can also find it on Amazon. Also, within that ebook, you've got a few other bits and pieces of information that you won't have had in the series. So don't forget to check that out. Okay, so next on the blog I wanted to talk about a yarn pattern that's come out, and also a giveaway. So I'll show you the pattern there. And this is a sock pattern called Fearless More by Amanda Collins of the Owlprint Panda blog. You can find her as Amanda B. Collins on Ravelry, which is where she sells her patterns. She's got some really lovely cute patterns. And she also has an Etsy shop where she sells her lovely stitch markers as well. And if you pop over into the blog craftsoftexture.com, there's a blog post, I think it went out of Monday this week, and that sort of gives you the lowdown on the pattern. A bit of an interview with Amanda as well, and Amanda very graciously gifted us 2 copies of the pattern to give away. So what I thought might be more interesting is to add some yarn to that. The yarn she used for this was my superwash sock base in colour pewter. So if I just wait for my iPad to catch up with me. Come on. I can show you the giveaway picture there. The details are on sarastexturecrafts.com and also the blog craftsofTexture.com, and that was posted on Tuesday the 3rd of March. So enter for that. All the details are there, and there's a bit of a social share element to that as well. Really enjoyed putting that together and had lots of entries so far. I think probably about 10 to 15 entries so far, so check those out. The other thing we've been talking about on the blog this week, and sorry, I'm just looking down at the old iPad, is spring summer trends. So I've been looking at knitwear trends for the season and discussing those with colour, and I will do a follow-on post in the next week or so, couple of weeks, sorry, discussing how you might take that through to hand knitting patterns and the trends happening within hand knitting patterns, and also colour combinations. If you wanted to buy your yarn from me, why not? It makes good sense. So that's everything for the blog. I'm just going to pause here and then take you through to my whips. Okay, so as I'd said, I've been working sort of hit and miss on bits and pieces in terms of whips. I haven't had a huge amount of time because, to be honest, I've not been feeling the best. So I started with, well, probably best to say I won't be showing you current spinning. I do have something on the wheel, but I haven't been able to touch it. I won't be showing you one of my sweaters because I haven't cast on. I've done all the prep work, the swatching and so on. I just need to get that cast on now. And then I'm working on a monster in acrylic, so that's a little plushy toy. And for some reason the acrylic is just driving my allergies absolutely insane, to the point where I just, you know, within a minute or so of knitting on it, I start not to be able to breathe again. So I'm actually thinking I might bin it. I'd kind of made several modifications to the Rebecca Danger pattern, and at this point I don't think I could pass it over to somebody else to pick up and continue and have it turn out the way I wanted it, or to be able to revert back to original pattern. So I don't know, we'll see how we go with that one. But what I am working on is the first in my spinning and stitching bag by Alexandra over on Etsy. I will link to her shop in the show notes. Is my Wave Shawlette, which is a pattern written by Skein Yarn. It's Kirsten over on Skein Yarns. You can find this on Ravelry. If I remember right, it was free, or it was very small cost. And as you can see, I haven't done a huge amount. I think I knitted just a few repeats last time, and I've managed to get probably about 2 or 3 repeats extra since I saw you last. So it's going. It's I'm working on it, and it's fine. I'm enjoying it now. It's much easier TV knitting now that I've got more into it. As I discussed last time, I was finding it a bit difficult because it was the first thing I've picked up in a long time where I had to kind of actually think about anything. So I think I was finding, with my brain being a bit frazzled from Craft for Crafters, I think I was finding it a little bit hard, but now that's all over, I'm feeling a little bit more like my brain's got a bit more room for a bit of extra patterning detail and concentration on the old yarn patterns. The yarn for that is my colour Pewter on my Shine base. So that will be a nice example for the store. The next up is a pair of socks, naturally, because these pretty much are the only thing I had energy for. So that's part of the second one, and I have the first one here. I'm using my Starship Enterprise bag, RIP Spock, or I should say RIP Spock. This is my first sock. Those are going to be for my mum. I was hoping to do them for Mother's Day, but I don't think they're going to be done, so it might just be just because, or maybe an Easter gift. They're kind of Eastery colours, aren't they? So Mum, if you're watching, sorry, I've just given it away, haven't I? But this is Serdar Heart and Soul sock. It's a Woolrich 4-ply sock pattern, and it also comes with a free sock pattern on the inside, which is quite a cool idea. For 100 grams you get 410 metres, 75% wool and 25% nylon. The first thought of this is they are a bit kind of stiff and a bit of that, you know, sort of old school wool feel, so possibly slightly itchy, but I know from experience with other well, with the Drops Fable print that I was using not long ago, that actually these are made out of, that it does soften up once you wash them, so I'm hoping that they will do the same. So I'm working on those, and they're coming along quite nicely, and again it's great TV knitting, which is about all I've been up for, really. And then the final thing that I'm working on that I can show you is a gilet from my mum. I gifted her this yarn a few years ago now, I think it was, and this is my Malachite colourway, and this was on my old silky base, which was merino and silk. And I've this is a top-down raglan gilet. I will put the pattern link, it's a free pattern, in the show notes. But if you've watched this podcast for a while, you notice that I've knit this pattern probably, this is, I'm going to say, my 4th time now. And again, it's just really TV knitting, very easy. All of the raglan increases are very simple, and then once you've got to that certain level, when you've got the armhole where you want it, then it's just straightforward knitting down the body. And then again for the sleeve, and you just finish it wherever it fits you, so it becomes quite a nice sort of fitting project that you don't really have to do any sort of cumbersome complicated knitting with. It's very simple and easy, so it's a project that you could easily travel with as well. So I've been working on that and alternating my skeins like a good girl. Yeah, okay, so first things first, I knit a pair of socks for Darren. These I think you saw in the work, and these are self-striping socks. The yarn is Alsterman yarn. What's it called? Alsterman Step, and this is the one that features a little bit of aloe vera in the yarn. I have to say it was really soft to knit with and quite nice to knit with, so I would definitely consider buying that again. The colourway is number 18, and if I remember right, this was Spock's Home Planet. I can't remember for the life of me what it's called. I'm going to flash that along the bottom here. I'll remember it later, I'm sure. But yeah, these are lovely and soft. And and are ready to wear, and poor old Darren's been waiting for me to film the podcast so that he can have them. Bless him. He's been very, very good, but to be honest, he's got enough hand knit socks at the moment to be wearing. So I've got a little touch of that left, which I'd love to maybe make some more fingerless mitts for me, because I found these really useful this year, and that's something that I want to sort of get more into this year, is crafting with or crafting for products and projects that are going to actually be much more useful to me, rather than something I just fancy kind of knitting. So definitely more hand knit mitts and socks, probably a few more sweaters as well, and I think I'm okay for hats at the moment, because I seem to have a binge of hat knitting over the last couple of years. But yeah, more kind of useful things to me, or things that I really kind of need. So I'm planning each project with what I have and what I need. So next up, I've got some spinning. This is my gradient colourway, which goes from blue to coral. What did I call this one? Wasn't Hawaii. It was called Passion. Honestly, on a good day, I really do know what I stock and what I don't stock. Yeah, this was on Exmoor Blueface, which is not the first time I've knit with Exmoor Blueface, but the first time I've done a large amount of Exmoor Blueface, and I have to say it actually is a lot more soft than it is when you feel it in the bump originally. The sort of qualities of the Blueface Leicester really come out in this. It does have a slight halo to it because of the Exmoor horn, which is also in the cross. I'm not sure what yardage I've got. This is set. I just haven't got round to counting yardage, but I'll do that when I decide to knit with it, and that's fine. I can live with that. So I've spun that up, and I'm really enjoying the brightness colour of that. And then the last thing I have finished, which I might have shown you one of these bumps before, I certainly showed you while spinning, were these. This is merino silk plied against some Ryland, and I'm hoping you can see the colour variation there. If not, you've seen the picture. But these are about approximately 200 grams each, and I'll twist one for you. Quite a nice balanced spin for me, which is nice. I'm getting better at that. There's quite an amount there as well, so I'm hoping with those two I will be able to knit myself a shrug. I fancy a big sort of cuddle shrug, so something that's quite sizable, and whether I've got I think I've got about enough fibre left to do another 100 grams skein of that, so I should have 500 grams in total, which should be more than enough for the shrug that I want to do. I just want it to be a big comforting hug, because that's what I feel I need right now, and certainly you know, I can wear that while I'm walking the dog in early spring or in early autumn, when the weather just changes enough to warrant wearing something lovely and hand knit. Let me just check. Yeah, that's it. That's everything that I've finished. So not a huge amount, but in themselves they were quite big accomplishments, particularly the last one, because I really sort of hammered through that when I got that on the wheel, and was quite surprised to have it ready. I think I finished that before Craft for Crafters, and then may have set it just afterwards. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to knitting those up as well. So I'm going to move on to new stash now. I have to say, all in all, I've been very good this month, but that's probably because I've been a bit crook. It's the way it goes. So I did purchase from Spinning and Stitching on Etsy, so that's www.spinningandstitching.etsy.com, and that's her card and her details there. and the lovely Alex made several things that I couldn't ignore. So one was another quilted project bag. This is a vampire theme, great for Halloween, but perfect for me every day because I do like a vampire theme. And then also again in a vampire theme, this little coin purse, which you could also use as a notions pouch, which is just vampires eating popcorn and drinking at the cinema, obviously. It's just really cute idea. So thanks very much, Alex. Really enjoying those and can't wait to start using them. So I think that's pretty much it for me in the podcast this week. So I'm going to leave it there and hope that it was long enough and not interrupted too much for you to enjoy. I hope that you're really well wherever you are in the world and whatever you're doing, and that of course you're enjoying your craft. So until next time, I hope you enjoy dreaming in fibre. Cheers, guys.